Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority. Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is also a pilot. And Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search Barb. You'll find her on most of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of people's largest assets, their home. So, Barb, what are we talking about today?
Well, Richard, I'm excited because, at least in my world, homes are selling pretty quickly, but I don't think that's the case across the board. So that's the first topic is, are homes really selling fast in Colorado? And kind of how does that stack up against some other areas around the country? And then the second one is about having the seller pay the buyer's agent commission. I get a lot of questions about this now that it's negotiable, and it's really interesting some of the stories that are coming out of it. So it's very fun to talk about this topic, and I think it's also fun that it is negotiable now, whereas before it was pretty hardwired. Like whatever you offered to pay in the written MLS system, you had to pay, or they would take you to the MLS police and book you. But now it's changed, it's negotiable. And then the third topic we're going to cover is, should Colorado home sellers wait around for the right offer or wait for multiple offers? And then last but not least is how to make your home sell faster. And as always, I love covering my hot new listings.
So, Barb, we're heading into the spring selling season. Now, the Fed seems uncertain about lowering interest rates while demand is lower than last year. So, do you think homes are selling faster along the Front Range?
Well, it is true that the days on market, which what that is defined as a day on market period, starts from the day the house goes on the market and it ends when the seller shows the property under contract. So it's how long does it take for a seller to accept or get a contract and accept a contract. And we saw longer days on market during last fall, but we're also seeing it now. And I think part of the reason is that there's a lot more available homes on the market than we've seen as compared to the year before. Mortgage rates absolutely have an impact on it, but we've seen the rates be relatively the same now for almost 3 months. They might fluctuate a quarter up or down, one way or the other. However, it's just not changing very much. So there are a good percentage of buyers that are sitting on the sideline, kind of waiting for A, the prices to drop, or B, the rates to drop. And it's not really happening. I would say overall in the past couple of years, the prices have been relatively flat, maybe a small drop in prices of a few percentage points. But right now is prime time. Typically, this is when we see the sellers command the most money. This is when most of the buyers are out in force. So if you're going to position the home for sale, the best thing you can do is price it right and have it look as good as it possibly can to attract the right buyer. Because I really feel like the buyers know more about the current market than some agents do because they're studying what they want to buy. They can see all the homes around it. Websites like Zillow actually put values of the homes around it, even though those homes aren't on the market and they probably don't know much about them. We have seen a slowdown definitely in the kind of beginner home buyer price point. I think the more affluent buyer is less sensitive to interest rates right now, and they're just making a move for family reasons, either family getting bigger, smaller, going closer to family, that kind of thing. But there was a new survey that came out that said that there's a good 80% of buyers that are just sitting on the sidelines, kind of waiting for the market to make a move. And as the rates hold steady, what I believe is going to happen, my prediction, according to the world of Barb, is that if we see the rates drop down and they have a five in front of it, we're going to see a big surge in prices and a big surge in demand on the buyer side, which is a good thing. But if you're a buyer right now and you can afford a home right now, I would not wait, because you're probably going to have more choices now than you would if the interest rates start dropping again. But at the end of the day, when you put a home on the market, you really want it to be the best home at the best price. And that is the way to get the most money. And buyers can tell if it's priced right out of the gate. So are rates going to drop? I don't know. They could. The stock market went up. I don't know if that means the rates are going to come down. But when I checked the rates this morning, they kind of ticked up just a little bit. Conventional rates are about 6.92%. The FHA and VA loans are hovering right around 6.25%. And the other question is, are homes selling faster? So we're not really seeing that. If you compare the average days on market, at least in El Paso County, from where it was a year ago, we're actually seeing about 10 or 11 more average days on market than we saw a year ago. But keep in mind, that one data point is only for the home sellers that are getting contracts. Not absolutely every home sells out of the gate. Once it's priced right, it will. But if it's sitting on the market asking for an unrealistic price, those days on market are going to march up. And the other thing that's hurting the seller right now is we're seeing a rather huge surge in inventory. A year ago, this time of year in El Paso, Pikes Peak region, which really encompasses 3 or 4 counties, El Paso, Teller, Elbert, parts of Park County, all those counties, a year ago, there were only 2,400 properties on the market. Right now, there's almost 3,200 properties. So a big surge in inventory by over 30%, longer days on market, rates are steady as they go. So I don't know. I don't think they're moving faster unless the home seller makes some really good decisions about pricing and positioning the home to sell fast and for top dollar. And then if you kind of look at I call it the micro level, or look at different counties, what we're seeing, like in El Paso County, the median list price is pretty much the same as what it was before. Average days on market in El Paso County, according to this data point, which is different from the last one, this is showing 74 days. So a lot of times when I look at different resources, they will give different numbers, and I don't know why. It's all coming from the same data, but the inventory definitely is surging back up. If you look at Douglas County, prices are, they're kind of relatively stable, wagging up and down just a little bit. Average days on market only 64 days in Douglas County. Teller County, they're sitting on about 120 days average on the market. Prices are staying about the same. And of course, inventory is rising. And down in Pueblo County, we're seeing the prices go up a little bit in the last few weeks. Average days on market, though, still 111 days. So once you get over 90 days on market and you start pushing 120 days on market, now you're really in more of a buyer's market, meaning the buyer has more of an advantage in the negotiations, meaning they can ask for concessions. They might be able to make an offer. And that's only true if you don't have competition when you make an offer on the home that you want. And keep in mind that if you go back in time, and at least I can go back in time because I've been in real estate since about the mid 90s, and I've seen this market. I've seen all kinds of situations. I've seen the meltdown where the prices dropped 25%. I saw some catastrophic historic things take place, which this market just stayed relatively flat when those happened. The meltdown definitely affected it because people were getting loans that they couldn't afford, and then they would default on them. And that created, because there were many more defaults than what we normally see, it drove the prices down. If you just have one-off default or one-off low price sale in your neighborhood, don't let that bother you, because it would have to be, say, more than 30% for it to drive the market down. But between 2018 and 2000, say 22, we saw prices go up as much as 45%. That's a lot. That's a big surge in a short amount of time, especially for this market. So, I think going forward in the next couple of years, we're going to see the prices very, very slowly go up, especially if the rates come down some more. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about whether or not homes are selling fast in Colorado. When we come back, we're going to talk about what we should expect to see in this market going forward. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Now, Barb, we're discussing the Fed's recent increase on the Fed borrowing rate and whether or not it has an effect on the housing market. So, what should home sellers expect and do in a market situation like this one?
Well, Richard, I know that bidding wars, they still do happen, not as frequently, but it means all the stars have aligned for that seller. They've either priced it right, they've updated the home appropriately, or maybe they didn't update the home, but they priced it very aggressively, and they got their agent to market the home appropriately. So preparation and planning absolutely is key to get this right. And, most buyers aren't going to go for a home that needs work unless it's way under market. And a lot of buyers are kind of waiting around. So home sellers have to spark those buyers to want to come out and take a look at it. And they will if they do all those things correctly. Years ago, the typical buyer would physically go inside and look at 40 homes, but that's not the case anymore. Many buyers are making a decision solely based on the online presentation as to whether or not they're going to pursue or look at that home at all. So you have to make sure you hire somebody that knows how to create that demand. And that's part of what we do. So give us a call if you are thinking of making a move at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, simply call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing, do sellers have to pay a buyer's agent's commission? Barb will explain that when we come back.